Welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Hour. This week, we're going to be giving you our busts for the 2026 fantasy baseball season right after this.
The Fantasy Six Pack Hour.
All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. Over here, got AJ Applegarth. The other side, Corey Pieper. Hope you guys are having a good night so far. We're going to be doing our busts for the upcoming season here. It is February 18th, so a lot of things can change between now and some of y'all's drafts, but these are some guys that we're not too high on as of right now. Before we get into the bust, though, I feel like it's a good exercise to kind of define what we all think a bust is, because I think the term gets thrown around a lot in every fantasy sport. And, you know, it means different things to different people. So if we're going to be sitting here talking about busts, I think we should define like kind of what we mean by that. And Corey, I'll let you define what you mean by a bust.
Oh, let's see here. So it is really comes down to how they perform versus the value that you give to them at the draft table. So we're going to talk about some players tonight that I don't know if any of us truly think they're going to fall off a cliff. I just wrote an article for Fantasy Six Pack about, I think it was 5 busts. I don't think any of them are going to truly, just completely ruin you. But relative to where I'm drafting them, it's all about what's the production I'm getting relative to the actual spot they're going. So if I draft someone in the first 5 rounds, I'm expecting something, and if they deliver still a pretty good season, that is a bust.
AJ, any difference for you?
Pretty much the same thing. I mean, I tend to look at, draft stock, and I feel like, every year we're going to see player XYZ has a breakout year, and now they're just shooting up draft boards. Everybody wants to own them, or roster them. And, you can't get them all, but you can't bank on just a 1-year breakout. I personally like to see consistency, across a couple year span, and obviously factoring injuries into that a little bit. But as long as the production's there based on how many games they've played in a season, then I would consider them beyond the bust category. But it really just comes down to, how much you're willing to pay draft wise to get who you want to get.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of the same. It's not so much like I think when people think bust, and you say that, you're like, oh, this got to be a bust. You think it's going to be an absolute like train wreck of a season. No, I think, Corey, you kind of said it. Like, I don't think we're expecting any of these guys to just be just terrible fantasy baseball players. Injury aside, like, we're not going to predict injuries here, although we may talk about it a little bit as a reason why we may, think they're a bust. But that being said, it's more of just these guys are a little overvalued. That's a term I actually like to use better than bust, but I know bust is like, the catchy term, and, everybody's going to search for bust, and, not overvalued. So we're going to call them bust just for the sake of the show. But I mean, in reality, though, it really isn't a bust. Like, I did the bust episode for Pitch Gone, and, like Joe Orico put, Bryce Harper as his first base bust. Like, it's not going to suck, but like, it's not, he doesn't want to pay the draft costs. Pazzola.
I don't know if you've heard
Pete
this,
Alonso,
but Bryce Harper is not elite, according to Dave Dombrowski. So
a lot of people think
that has been the only topic of discussion on Philly Sports Radio this entire week. And it's wearing quite thin on this Phillies fan.
All right. So, AJ, you kind of gave a little bit of your process for determining who will be a bust. But, Corey, what's kind of your process? Like, how do you go about determining who will be a bust?
Oh, so it's usually it's playing time concerns. That's kind of the starting point for me is if I think that somebody's going too early for the amount of playing time that I think they'll get, that's a good way to be a bust. And it's substantial split luck. Certain players have typically full season production is more predictive than half season production. So if it's had a really bad second half and they're still going early or not, that one doesn't bother me quite as much. Home and road splits, I look for that type of thing. If there's really notable home and road splits or that type of thing, or total production versus actual expected production, some players really outperform what their expected production is. And so if that's something that pops off when you check out StatCast, I would say that is a bust too.
Yeah, AJ, anything to add to kind of what you said earlier? I know you were talking about like injury concerns and all that kind of stuff.
No, I mean that's pretty much what I like to go off of is just maintaining consistency and kind of using that as my basis for everything.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of you're looking at kind of like, especially if a guy like broke out last season, like what was it? Like what changed? Was it like a crazy high, like, home run to fly ball rate that just skyrocketed, like a really super crazy high BABIP, who was it from Colorado 2 years ago that was just like Nolan Jones. Super crazy high BABIP. And it was like, nah, that's not repeatable. And yeah, just awful season. Yet, everybody went after him super early because of the power speed that he had. It's those types of things that call out to me. If a guy is striking out a lot, but somehow hits 250, it's like, something's gonna give. Like you're striking out at 35%, but if you just happen to luck into a hit pretty much every time you made contact with the ball, like that's probably not a good thing. So there's that kind of stuff, and then you got to look at if they move teams, if they if they're going to be in a platoon or something like that. So there's a lot of other factors that come into it, but definitely looking at some of those luck factors are things that I do. Next question, last one here, Corey. Let you. AJ, we'll just have this one first. Is a bust somebody that you are just like, no, he's on my bust list, I will absolutely not draft him no matter what? Or is it like, eventually I'm going to pull the trigger on this guy?
Yeah, I feel like I will ultimately pull the trigger, and probably more than once in a draft, just because I'm going to get so frustrated why this one person just sits there. And it's like, I talked this guy down and now he's just hanging around to like prove a point to me that, he can be drafted later, or, nobody likes him, so you have to take him and he'll prove you wrong when he's on your team, that sort of a thing. But that's kind of the biggest annoyance for me is just like, why is nobody taking this guy? He's clearly going to be a bust. I guess everybody's on the bus train for him. So, okay, well, maybe if he falls far enough, I might look at him a little closer.
Corey, what about you?
Yeah, I'll take. There's probably on the bus I'm going to go over. There's probably one player that I'll never take in a million years. I just don't think he's even good. But other than that, most of the time, if it comes down to it and someone falls 2-3 rounds beyond where they're currently going and they actually fall to a reasonable range, then I'd be willing to take most players, as long as I said, at least I think they're good. There's only like one player that I'm like completely out on this year. So we'll see. We'll get to him.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Corey. AJU as well. Like there's always a price tag for every player. I'm probably going to be lower on these guys than at least one person in my drafts. So I'm probably not going to have any of these guys. But I've seen weird things happen where like it just feels like, and AJ, you said it, like feels like everybody's just like, nope, I don't want to touch him. He's got the plague. I don't want him cooties or whatever. Like it's just like
Cooties.
and eventually you're just like, man, this guy has fallen like 5 rounds past his ADP. Eventually, like he's not that bad, So time to pull the trigger. Although it then sometimes ends up biting me in the ass because he actually is that bad.
Yeah. So while we were talking, I just went back to last year's busts, and I have to say, we did pretty good. Like Joe, you mentioned William Contreras at catcher. I feel like that pretty much delivered. It was a down year for him. First base, I had Spencer Steer and Christian Encarnacion Strand. Both of them were terrible. Second base, Marcus Simeon and Matt McLean were terrible. Who else do we have on? Tovar was bad. Royce Lewis was bad. Who knows what you want to say about Oneil Cruz? Some of the rest of them we were not great about, but like
there might be some repeat names.
Yeah, we had some I was like, some of these are pretty good. So just to say, like we did okay at this.
Yeah. Hey,
we know what we're talking about once in a while.
Bad.
Once in a while, we know what we're talking about.
I mean, hey, I did finish number 2 in the rankings contest last year. I don't know if you guys saw that. It just came out today. Finished number 2, but behind Ariel Cohen, the ATC projection guy. Go figure. He gave me the hearty congrats, and I was like, yeah, that's my third number 2 finish between football and baseball. So I'm not bitter at all. I have now had a number 2 finish in football draft rankings, fantasy football weekly rankings, and now fantasy baseball draft rankings. I have the trifecta. That is all they do. So
sounds like you're a bust.
I was like, I am the Buffalo Bills of fantasy rankings contests. Wow. Awesome. But hey, it is what it is. It's still good. It's still good. Hate you. All right, let's get into the actual busts here, and of course, while we're on the subject, though, the rankings that we have, mine are over on Fantasy Six Pack. You can get them by using promo code F6P Pods to get the full set of rankings. I do not publish them on Fantasy Pros until the very last second, so you will not see them there. And then, of course, we've got our cheat sheets, the projections, and a whole lot of other great things. And during the season, we've got, pitching and hitting planner tools and great stuff like that, DFS projections as well. And then, of course, the Discord where you get access to all 3 of us and many, many more of the great analysts that we have over here at Fantasy Six Pack. So go ahead and check that out. So, yeah, we're going to do catchers. This is a fun one. AJ, let's start with you. This will be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of backlash here. And
I mean, hey, I did Wilson Contreras last year and probably got a lot of backlash. And look, it kind of hit. So
panned out.
He was still good, but wasn't worth that second round pick.
Yeah, pretty much. So this guy I'm looking at is pretty much in that same range of possible second round. Woo. Sorry, might have mute, didn't work. Anyway, I'm looking at Cal Raleigh here. And again, it's the whole shock and all. Oh my God, he's so good. He's so good. Yeah, he is so good. I get that. And I'm not doubting his production as far as, not considering him a bust from a production standpoint. This is solely I don't want to pay for his draft cost. I mean, the production was incredible last year. We probably should have won AL MVP in my mind. I mean, 60 homers is not necessarily sustainable year in year and year and year. So I fully expect to see a drop off there. Maybe not much. I mean, he could still clear high 40s, low 50s for sure. I just don't know if I see him getting to that 60 plateau again. The runs were 40 above, what he had done the previous 2 seasons. He added some more steals last year too, so that was nice. And then same thing with RBIs. It's just, in roughly the same amount of games in 23. He was 14 games less. But the stats were just way, way off. His walk rate has increased, consistently throughout his career. So that's helping a little bit, but I don't know. I just can't take my second round pick as a catcher and then just be done with the position. For me, I'm letting someone else take him. And again, unless for some weird ass reason he falls into like the mid third, okay, maybe I'm jumping on board at that point. But I just think that the production we saw last year is not going to be repeated completely. It'll be close, but it's not going to be as high as it was.
Yeah, I don't want to go back and forth on all the players. And look, I do ultimately agree with you. I do think if we were really predicting 60 home runs from him again and 120 RBI, right, we'd be drafting him in the first round, right? That's massive. But look, if he falls back to like his 2024 number, 73 runs, 100 RBI, 34 home runs, that's still fantastic. That 220 batting average, man, that's what was making him drop to where he was ultimately going. Now in an OBP league, a little bit different. But like, look, BABIP was 248. His batting average was 247. That's crazy. Like, you don't usually see them that close to each other. And a BABIP 248 is really, really bad. Expected batting average was 231. So I do expect that to drop, which means just, all the counting stats drop with it. So, and then 14 steals on top of that. Like, what? No. Corey and I were laughing every time he got a steal.
Yeah.
At one point this season, Cal Riley was our leading steals getter because Brice Turang decided to not run for a long time during the year, which pisses off. So, yeah, that was fun. Corey, who is your catcher bust?
So similar to AJ, I went to a player that, do I really think he's going to bust? Like, as far as, do I think that Will Smith is the catcher of the Dodgers, who's who I'm going with here? Do I think that he's just suddenly going to be bad this year? No, of course not. I think he'll be fine. He almost led the league in hitting last year, but he's going as a top 10 catcher. He officially did not go on the injured list last season, but yet he finished with 436 plate appearances and a total of 362 at-bats. So, just a quick list of some catchers who had more plate appearances than him last season. Dylan Dingler, Ryan Jeffers, Patrick Bailey, Logan O'Hoppe, Carlos Narvaez. All those players got up more than him last season because he can't DH, because Shohei Ohtani is amazing. So if you're fine with the fact that you're going to get like probably 150 less at-bats than the top catchers, because that's what he's going to give you. Like, if you get 400 at-bats, consider that pretty good, because I think that's probably what you're going to get out of him if Ohtani stays healthy. Now, in 400 at-bats, can he hit 20 home runs? Maybe. Yeah, he might. And can he hit probably for a pretty good average? Yeah, I think that's set. Just know that if you're going with Will Smith, you are having at most 5 days a week, he might play. More likely, it's 4 days a week is what you're getting out of a catcher. And I don't want that out of a top 10 catching player. Like, if I'm going to spend a tit pick for a top 10 catcher, as deep as catcher has gotten, and it's as deep as it's been, I will just pass on Will Smith at this point. And it's not that I don't like him, but there are players who are below him, like Diaz, who I think could do pretty similar things and is going to play a lot more. And even like Kyle Teal, I kind of like in the White Sox, and I can get him 100 picks later. So Ivan Herrera, right? I love Ivan Herrera. Like, I loved him last year. And so those players are just much better values to me than what I think Will Smith is with his playing time concern.
Yep, couldn't agree with you more. I think the one thing that, is obviously the Dodgers, right? And then the batting average, like that safety net of batting average at catcher, where like production is pretty inconsistent from year to year from a lot of these guys. At least you can kind of bank on batting average from Will Smith. That's at least, I think, what keeps his value high. But let's jump over to first base, AJ.
All right, yeah. Joe, we'll start with you for your first base bust. Who are you thinking is gonna not breakout?
Not breakout. It's probably
Yeah, that's
weird
not
way to say it, but so I'm going with Josh Naylor. I think he's a fine baseball player. I'm just not really sure what he is for fantasy at this point. And I kind of think there's he's going high enough at this point where like, are people chasing the 31 home runs from 2024, or are people chasing the 30 steals from last year? I don't know. I don't know if I can count on either one of them. To be honest with you, like he's never done either one more than once, right? Like his highest home run total outside of the 31 is 20 twice. His highest stolen base total was 10. So no, like we're not getting that again. That was wild. Here's another thing with Josh Naylor, right? Statcast, he had a 3 percentile sprint speed.
Is that good or
How
bad?
the hell? That is really bad. That's on the low end.
Okay.
He was not top 3%. He was bottom 3%. So how in the hell he stole 30 bases? Now I will say he went to Seattle, right? And he's still going to be there. And they ran a ton last year. Right. I mean, that's why we saw Cal Riley stole 14 bases. They just ran. I think they realized that their park was not great for power, and they're going to have to figure out how to score some runs. When they get on base, they're just going to go. And the new rules still, are very advantageous to let you do that. But again, there's just some stuff with him that like he doesn't strike out a lot, so you like that. The walk rate's okay. Home run to fly ball ratio, down to 11% last year, hits a lot of ground balls. Like, I don't know, man. There's just something to him, and like I don't think the steal was real, right? And with him going to Seattle and playing a full season in Seattle, I don't think the power is going to rebound, right? That's my problem with him. And I think you're just paying up for what you got. It's like a maybe 2/3 mix of the two seasons, and I don't think that's a good projection for him.
Yeah.
So I heard a wild Josh Naylor stat, and I didn't vet it, but it was after he came to Seattle, he stole more bases than any other Mariner, including like Julio.
I think that's. I mean, I didn't look that, but I do remember him just running an absolute ton. He did steal 19 bases with the Mariners in 54 games. Unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, just nuts, man.
He'll
have a pretty solid batting average. I will say the year he hit 31 home runs, his batting average was 243, but he's usually, he hit a little over 300 the year before that and 250s the couple of years before that. So I think, maybe like a 280 batting average, high 270s would be okay. You'll get like 2015 out of him. I don't know. Is that what you want out of your first baseman? I probably don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's you could find that well beyond where you'd be getting Naylor. So, Corey, who do you have as your first base bust?
So I'm a little lower than Naylor, but I think he's still going as a top 12. He's either 12 or 13 in the ADP, and that is Yandy Diaz, who is beyond maybe Vlad Jr., probably the safest source of batting average at first base among first basemen. And I don't think that's going away. I think he'll still continue to hit for a strong average. But so last season was a career high, 25 home runs, 83 RBIs. He stole 3 bases, right? Like, I think you can bank the runs scored because he typically bats pretty high in the Rays lineup. And then I think you can bank the batting average. Now, if he's a 25 home run bat, then you can justify him as a top 15 first baseman. The problem is I don't think he's anywhere close to a 25 home run bat. I think this is someone who took advantage of Steinbrenner Field. He hit 18 home runs at Steinbrenner Field in 78 games. He had 7 on the road. He has never hit more than 13 home runs in home whenever they played at Tropicana. And once again, I repeat, they are going back to Tropicana Field this year. So before this season or last season, he had a 22 home run season in 2023 where he hit 330. So we maybe can get a slight decrease, but I'm thinking more if I'm drafting Yandy Diaz, I'm thinking I'm getting 15 home runs. and I'm going to be pretty happy with 15 home runs. He's probably going to hit me 290, and it's a perfectly fine corner infield option. But I do not want to spend a top dozen pick at first base, a position that is you can still find power late in at this position, right? Like I would rather take Spencer Torkelson, and because I feel like I can find average elsewhere. So as much as I think Yandy Diaz is a fine option, it's just not the way that I want to build my team with a first baseman who is all average, no power.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree.
Okay. I will go to my least favorite position. So get in here early enough and you get to make the sheets, and then you get to decide what you get to do. So I did not want to talk about second base because I personally find every one of them annoying. But let's hear who you guys like. Joe went first last time. So AJ, who is your second base bust?
Man, I am going with Mr. Ozzie Albies from Atlanta. Overall, he's down at like 140 for draft ADP, but that still puts him as the 9th second baseman. So not necessarily reaching to get him, but you definitely shouldn't try to reach to get him, even if the position for whatever reason starts flying off the board. Albies, I talked about consistency earlier. You know, the one thing that Albies has been super consistent on is the flip-flop seasons. Since 2021. Basically, 21, he had 30 homers, 103 runs, 106 RBIs, 20 steals, played 156 games. 22, only played 64 games, only 8 home runs, counting stats all down. 23, hey, we're back up. It's 148 games, back to 33 homers, 96 ribbies, 96 runs, 109 ribbies, and 13 steals. And then 24 hits again. I mean, obviously, it's a playing time and injury issue with him. Mm-hmm. So, if you like to follow those trends and you're super superstitious about it, 24 was a down year. 25 was back up-ish. And so 26, he's clearly going to be injured again. And I just spoke it into existence too. So he's definitely going to be injured again. You're welcome, America. But even last year in his, swing back year, in 157 games, his home run total was only 16. Whereas in 24, he was at 10 in 99 games. His runs were back up, but just overall, his overall production, even with these flip-flop years, has been dropping. The one thing that has been also dropping has been his K rate, which is nice, but I don't know. I just, his average is plummeted and is bouncing back and forth in those early years. But the last 2 years, he's down at 251 and 240. I mean, that's terrible, basically average for OBP the past 2 years. He's still going to be able to get you some steals, but I think you can do much better and find these same counting stats somewhere else along the lines. I would rather just try to go up a little bit more and try to lock up one of the higher up second basemen, or if not, just sit and
go
just
get
wait.
Bryson Stott, who's like the exact same player.
Yeah, pretty much. You can get
Literally.
him 47 picks later.
The only thing that Albies, like, you've seen him be near elite, right? And so that's name value is carrying him. And his second half last year was actually really good. It was a 272 batting average, 9 home runs, 7 steals. So it started clicking late in the season for him, and that carries over, especially when you've done it before. I am leery about it too. I don't love the pick for Albies. I probably will not have him. That's just that whole range of second base. Like, if I don't somehow fall into Marte or Chisholm, which I probably won't, or the next guy that I'm going to talk about, then I'm probably just going to wait. I don't care about second base. The value and the production just isn't there at the position, and it doesn't matter really to get those like middle guys that just who knows what's going to happen with them, honestly. But I will talk about the guy that I think is going to be a bust this year, and it is Mr. Brice Turang. The breakout of breakouts last year for everybody. Hit a whopping 18 home runs for him, double his highest in any other season, which was 7 before that. Batting average skyrocketed to 288. Look, there's a lot of things to like about what he did last year, right? Hard hit rate, barrel rate, launch angle, max, exit velocity. Everything was up last year for him, right? Was walking more. He stole a lot less, but look, I mean, when you're hitting bombs, right? You're hitting doubles, things like that, a bunch more. Then you're not going to have the opportunity to steal as much. It was frustrating for managers of him who drafted him for steals. Corey and I know that one firsthand and did not get them from him. 24 is not what you expected from him. And honestly, it kind of hurt your team builds. So that's another way to call somebody a bust too, right? Is it actually busts your team build? Because then you're like just hoping that you get a breakout in steals from somebody else later. Or you randomly were able to get like Chandler Simpson later in the season, and just that's all he did was steal, right? But that being said, I wrote about this in the second base, our article that we put out there on the second base draft strategy article with Brice Turang, right? You're looking at 18 home runs. You're going like, I mean, that can be repeatable, right? He hit 10 of those home runs in August, I believe, or was it July? Either way, one of those months, he hit 10 home runs. If you had put him even if you would have given him 3, or let's just give him 4, right? I mean, a drastically different season we're talking about here for him. You're talking what? That'd be 10 home runs. If you gave him 2, 13, 14, 15 home runs max. Are we looking at a 15-24 guy as much as we are an 18-24 guy? I don't know if we are. I think we like this. I think we like the power that we got from him last year. And I think maybe 12 or 13 is in the cards. If he can give you 12 or 13 with 35 steals, then I think we're okay. But I still am a little bit worried about the power. If he drops into the single digits again, he's got to go back to stealing 50 bases in order to return even close to the value that you're having to take him at, which is within the first 4 rounds. And then there is a large gap between him and the next second baseman, and I'm just not willing to pay that cost for him. I'm really worried about that. We're chasing the breakout last year of Brice Turang, and this profile that he had last year is not what anybody expected him to be. And I worry it's not actually him. It was just sort of a weird year for him.
Yeah, I don't hate it for sure. I mean, he's one of those higher up guys that I guarantee a lot of people are going to be targeting. Okay, have at it. I'll sit a little bit more.
Corey's the Brewers fan. What do you think about that, man?
I'll take Brice Turang in the 4th round. I'll take Brice Turang there. I think the power is, and maybe it's not fully real, but a 47% hard hit rate. That's pretty good. That's top 30 percentile in the league. It's not that he was just popping them out. Now, like you said, it was mostly 1 month. Yeah. But I look at the spray chart. There's a lot of doubles on there that could have easily been out too. The dude could have got to 25. It's not impossible to believe that looking at his spray chart. So if some of it comes back and instead he goes to 15 homers, I still think he's got. 88th percentile sprint speed. I think it probably settles into a 15 homer, 30 steal, 280 batting average at second base. I'll take that in the 4th round. Honestly, and I'll take Ozzie Albies, but where he's at too. Joe mentioned the second half. I like the second half there in Ozzie Albies. The thing that gives me pause is that the idiot got hurt again on another hit by pitch at the very end of the season again with his wrist, which really annoys me. Because if it didn't happen there, I'd be all in on Ozzie Albies at that cost. But instead, my second base plan is typically one of the big 3, which is either usually Marte or Turang, and then either Ozzie Albies or Brandon Lau. That's pretty much my second base plan. And if that doesn't work, then I really have to try to figure something out. But so some of the guys you guys mentioned as busts, I like, and that's just something that's going to happen with different thoughts here. So
we'll talk about sleepers next week. There's a couple of guys that I like farther down the list.
There you go.
I did mention one, Bryson Stott, but that wouldn't be my pick for next week. But
Liar.
All right, over to third base. Corey, I'll let you have this one first. Who is your third base bust?
So I'm going with a guy who had 12 games there, so he might not always be third base eligible in every league. But I want to talk about him because this is the one I won't have any. There's no chance I'll ever have a single share of Colson Montgomery in any draft all season long. I will never get Colson Montgomery. I'm fully aware of that, and that's perfectly fine with me. He came up, hit the ground running, 71 games with the White Sox, hit 21 home runs with 55 RBIs. And you're like, wow, that's half a season. This dude's going 40 home runs, 120 RBIs. Corey's a moron. Like, he hit 239 doing it. And maybe I am. Maybe I'm a moron, but he had a 29% strikeout rate, right? He had a 44th percentile hard hit rate. So we're talking about Brice Turang hitting 18 home runs with a 47%. His was higher than Colson Montgomery's, who had 21 home runs in half a season. It's an extremely high, Joe mentioned earlier, home run to fly ball rate that helped carry him. And then this is a guy who had never shown anything like this at AAA. Never anything like this in the minor leagues. Going into the season, at the first 60 games in AAA and rookie ball, he had 11 home runs and hit 215. Last season, the year before that, he had 18 home runs and hit 214. There's just no sign that this is at all repeatable. And so beyond the fact that he has a full-time job, that I'm fully convinced of, because the White Sox are not going to find anybody else to replace him with. So he will play somewhere. I don't know how I could see this being. Remember Zach Gelof's rookie year a couple of years ago where he came out of nowhere for the Athletics and suddenly we pushed him way up and then the strikeout rate got to him in the next year he got sent to the minors and he is basically a non-factor now in fantasy drafts. That's what I see when I see Colson Montgomery. I would be not surprised at all if by the end of the year, if we're not even considering Colson Montgomery a fantasy option.
Yeah, I mean, not somebody I've been, I see the name and I just kind of go, I'll probably have my third baseman before him. I'm hoping.
Yeah,
it's not a good spot, but if it gets that far, I'll probably get a pass on him. AJ, what you got?
All right, well. This is going to look like I'm picking on this team.
Of course you are.
They are a division opponent.
I didn't even realize that.
Of the Phillies.
Of course he did.
I mean, if it fits, it fits. Okay. I am going with third baseman Austin Riley of, guessed it, Atlanta. So I'm taking their infield and just throwing it all
this
away.
In AJ's outfield bus, Ronald Acuna Jr.
No, it's Michael Harris. Thank you. So Riley, I mean, last year he just seemed to fall off of this cliff, and then he finally started picking it up and got back to where we thought he was going to be. But he hasn't come close to being what he was in 2023. Obviously the games played has dropped a lot. He's been missing time. So this is where, a player falls into that, injury risk range for me. Even with the 40-ish, 50 games less, his homers dropped significantly. His runs were way down. RBIs kind of about average, stayed in. You're not getting any runs out of him, any steals. I mean, so you don't have to worry about that. But his K rate did go up last year. His average has been pretty consistent, so not much doing there, but his on base definitely dropped last year as well. I don't know. What can I say? Just F the Braves. But no, I just don't want to spend up, to get him when there's other guys that I like better, rounds later. If I'm gonna, go in somewhere around there, I'm just gonna wait and maybe go after a Bregman or play my chances on a Westberg. Who
talking about injury risk. Westberg,
I
the guy's already
exactly.
injured.
I am so out on Jordan Westberg again, man. I was so in last season. I am so out this year.
I was gonna say,
if he can stay healthy, he's worth it. But that's a big
Riley. you want to talk about a guy who just hits the piss out of the ball. 50% hard hit rate. God, that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is a true not a true two outcome hitter, but he's close, right? I mean, he's pretty much going to strike out or home run. Like that's what it feels like. He's just got to stay healthy, man. And like what was it 2 years ago? He started out and like he was quite possibly like the worst hitter in baseball for like the first month and a half, 2 months, and we were all like, "What is going on?" And it was like, okay,
it was horrible.
Because the 3 years where he hit over 30 home runs, it was kind of like, is this for real? I didn't buy into it. Is it for real? I didn't buy into it. Then he did it again. I was like, all right, fine. I guess it's for real. Even though all the metrics were saying like this isn't like repeatable. And then he just came out just like he wasn't interested in playing baseball. And I was like, well, damn it. So I bought in 1 year too late. I mean, I still, I think the power is there. Again, it's health. It is a risky pick. It's still around pick 60-ish, 65. That's
and you're looking at fifth round,
like sixth round for him. I think it's doable depending on kind of how your draft's set up. If I needed some speed, I won't take him. But if I need some power and I just want to take a chance on him being healthy, I think it might be worth it. But you got to be willing to take that risk.
Yep.
So
exactly. All right, let us dip into the shortstop position here. Corey, will let you go first since you were just asking the question. Who is your best?
So I'll go back to the Trevor story here. And it's just, yes, he was healthy last season. Good for you, Trevor Story. And it was an incredible year. Like 91 runs scored, 25 home runs, 96 RBI, 31 steals, 263. That is a 5-category producer across the board who is still going. I would say it's like outside the top 100 picks. It's like a 12th. It's 106 is his average on our site here, which has him around 12th at shortstop. But I just don't buy a lot of this at all. The 157 games is nice. I don't know if I believe that he's going to play even half that again. This is a guy who hadn't played 100 games the 3 seasons prior to that. Maybe he's healthy. That's possible, I guess. And then I don't know about the strikeouts again. His strikeout rate drops to 27%, which is a big reason that suddenly his average got to 263. But that strikeout rate's got so many years where it's rose to 32%. I mean, the 3 years before this with Boston, 31, 32, and 30. And because of that, his batting average is 255, 203, 238. Last season, when we were getting him outside the top 250, it was, okay, well, if he stays healthy for 100 games, you're still going to get power and speed, and you delivered on it. But now that I have to take him inside the top, 8 rounds of a 12-team draft, I don't really like that risk power proposition at that point. There are still shortstops who I can get after that who I think can do kind of what he did last year. Like, why would I take Trevor Story 40 picks ahead of Dansby Swanson? I don't get why I would do that. Dansby Swanson stays healthy. He can also do power and speed. The strikeout rate isn't great, but I think he can hit 240, 250. So I just don't like the value of what Trevor Story offers. He's going to bat in a pretty good Boston lineup. It should be great. As long as he can stay healthy, I could see the counting stats being there. But there is too much risk for me to spend a borderline top 100 pick on Trevor Story.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I haven't been in on him in years.
Yeah.
Missed a little bit, but not really.
Yeah, I'm out. Basically missed last year. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to Geraldo Perdomo. Diamondbacks shortstop who got paid before last year, and it was kind of like, wait, what? Why? And then he proved everybody, all the doubters. He proved them wrong for sure. Fantastic season, 290 batting average, 20 home runs, 98 runs, 100 RBI, 27 steals. Fantastic season. One of the best fantasy players that you could have gotten. He basically was free in drafts last year. I mean, absolutely. Look, man, like I get that, he never really played a full season, right? But in 2023, right, he had 495 plate appearances, which isn't a full workload, but pinch hit a lot, 144 games played, 6 home runs, right? The year after that, 388 plate appearances, 3 home runs. Again, not a full workload. So we never really quite knew what he could be, right? Last year, 20 home runs, just absolutely out of nowhere. Talked about StatCast data earlier. Go back to this, right? Barrel rate, barrel percentage, 25th percentile. Hard hit percent, 11th percentile. Bat speed, 7th percentile. Exit velocity, 16th percentile. A lot of really good things, right? He's a good hitter, right? He squares it up. He doesn't chase. He doesn't whiff. K rate's good. Walk rate's good. There's a lot of good things to like. He's a good professional hitter. He is, to me, the 20 home runs is a complete mirage. And I think a lot of the other stats are a bit of a mirage too. 720 plate appearances, I believe, put him in the top 4 for plate appearances last year, which that's hard to repeat. The guys that you see near the – is it 6th? Like,
he was 6th.
I believe like
Devers,
Ohtani, Judge,
Olsen, Schwarber.
Yeah. I mean, those are like the elite players for the most part in the league, right? Like, I don't know if I put Perdomo in there. Diamondbacks, good offense, but, that's 720 plate appearances, man. If that drops to even like 650, that's a massive hit to his county stats. You're just not getting as many chances, period. I see him as more of like a 15 at most home runs, 23 steals at most. He hits near the top of the lineup, if not the top of the lineup for the Diamondbacks. So he's going to get the runs scored, but the RBI will probably drop to like the high 70s. He'll be a good hitter, right? He'll probably hit no less than like 275 would be my guess. But you're paying for him up at like the number 8 shortstop right now, going inside that 5th, 6th round. I'm not interested.
I actually don't hate Perdomo. I wouldn't say he's like a target of mine, but I do not hate a lot of what he offers at that price. I think he's like a 285 hitter. I think he's a fantastic hitter. I think he can do that. And then I think he's just optimized his swing now to the point where he can get the home runs. He just keeps consistently lowering the ground ball rate. 2022 was at 50%. He has lowered it down to 39%. So now he's launching 60% of the balls in the air. And because of that, I think there's enough of a line drive tendency in here, like 25% line drive rate. That's like Freddie Freeman, Corey Seager levels of hitter, which is how he maintains that high batting average. And then if he can just hit, enough out, do I think he's going to hit, 27 home runs again? No, I think he'll hit
20. He had 27.
Hit 20. Okay. So like, I'll take 80% off of both, right? So the 20 home runs falls to 16, the 27 home runs falls to 21, or the 27 steals falls to 21. And I still think that probably returns 6th, 7th round pick. Not a target, but if he's there, I'm fine taking him there.
Yeah, I just think and I know you would take a hit on the batting average, but like Willie Adames is a little more interesting to me. You can get like Jeremy Pena is a very similar player, much, much later, right? Talk about Dansby Swanson, a very similar player, a little bit lower batting average, right? You take a little bit on the batting average with some of those guys. I would rather pass on Perdomo at that draft cost. Get some of the, that's a good range to like be hammering outfielders and starting pitchers and maybe like one of your first relievers, as we talked about last week and the week before with our hitter and pitcher strategy shows. And like that's not a range of shortstops that I'm really eager to go get.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I feel like I'm out on him as well.
Okay.
Just depends on where he falls, I guess. But
I'll stand alone on that one. That's okay. I understand.
Yeah.
Now, for these last couple positions, we are all going to give a bust because there are so many of them that you need. And that would be the outfield, where you're starting either 3 of them or 5 of them. And so you're playing either 36 or 60 of them if you're in a 15-team 5 outfielder league. And then we'll do it again for starting pitchers here. So I will introduce the outfield position, but I'll still go last here, actually. So, AJ, you just talked about the last guy. Let's have your outfield bust.
All right. Well, my outfield bust here is, as I said, Michael Harris. It's no, it's not. It's not. I am going with Georgie Porgy Springer up in Toronto. He had quite a nice year last year, crushing his home run totals for the past 6-7 years since 2019, where he had 39. His runs were over 100 for the first time since 2018. And he played pretty much the same amount of games the past 4 years, roughly. So it's not really that's been consistent, but the production itself's kind of been all over the place. One big thing with him last year was that he increased his walk rate by 2% up to just under 12. His K rate's still about the same too. His ISO went up, so that's nice. But his BABIP also went up, from 245 to 340. I just don't know if that's sustainable. On base percentage, nearly 400. Don't think that's sustainable. I just feel like he had such a big breakout year compared to what we've seen from him, the first 3-4 years in Toronto. Well, obviously 21, he was only at 78 games. So injuries got him there. He does chip in steals though. So that's helpful. I just don't know if I'm looking to take him on this year. Toronto wasn't necessarily a surprise team last year. Obviously, they made it to the World Series, so it must be pretty good. But I just think a lot of stuff fell into place for them last year, and for Springer especially. So at his ripe old age, I don't know. I don't know if he's still going to be able to do it there at 36, 37. Ancient for baseball.
Springer's a weird one for me. I'm not really sure. Like last season, totally surprised me. 32 bombs. Like what?
Yeah, that was.
I had no idea he had that in him still.
No.
And the batting average was nuts. Like, yeah, there's a lot of things to worry about. You're not quite paying up for what he did last year, so it might be still decent value, but. Yeah, I could see him. I could see him being a bust if people are expecting 27, 28 home runs. I'm not sure that's totally in him. I think Corey, you were all over Springer last year. I was not.
Yeah, I did. I reaped the benefits of George Springer last year.
I did for a while as well, and then he kind of had like a bad week or two maybe, and I was like, all right, I'm out. And then he started playing well again. I'm like, fuck, I missed that one.
Yeah, that was bad.
AJ and his rage drops.
In the second half, he was even better. My dude's second half stats are just like, I think he finished as the third outfielder in fantasy last season behind Judge and Soto. So you're already getting a substantial discount at 77. That's why, while I can certainly see, I'm not going to bank on a lot of 30. Is he 37? Like you said, AJ, 37-year-old outfielders doing that again. Yeah. Like, I think almost too much regression is being built in at that cost. So I would probably be willing to take him again there. Especially like if I get him as like a third outfielder, I think even if he steps back from 32 home runs to 25 home runs, and
that's still solid.
He keeps stealing. I mean, he's been around 20 steals the last 3 seasons. At that point, for the pick 75, I'm probably going to be back in again just because I think there's enough regression already built into the price. But what a year, man! Like that's just an awesome year. Like
you just have to hope he doesn't fall back to like the 19 home runs,
right?
220 batting average from the year before.
That was definitely
pretty miserable.
I want to hear Joe's because I've already talked about this dude. I don't remember under the hitting like how much I'm down. So I'll let you take him, Joe.
You gave your absolute do not draft guy. This is mine, and it is Oneil Cruz. quite possibly the worst, like one of the worst hitters in baseball. Like, people are going to scream at me, but he went 20 and 38 last year. I don't care. I don't care. Dude hit 200.
Terrible.
Was under 200 for a good stretch of this season. BABIP was 262, so fine. Maybe it goes up a little bit. Expected batting average 218. I mean, over a 30% strikeout rate. Walks a good bit, so cool. I mean, he absolutely smashes the ball, right? I mean, like usually one of the like highest max exit velocities of the entire season will come from him. And he may have had it last year.
I think he did. I'll look at that.
I mean, unreal. Like when he hits it, when he squares up on it and gets it right, that ball is gone. And it looks real cool. It is out in a hurry. There's just not a lot to like here, right? Two major red flags for me, right? First off, he is pretty awful at defense. So we're not liking him there. Second, I'm not sure he's gonna play against lefty hitters or lefty pitchers.
I doubt it.
Does anybody want it?
Unless you're looking at it, very surprised.
Unless you're looking at it, do you know what his batting average was against lefties last year?
Oh, like 91 is my guess.
And y'all went right down the middle. AJ's closer. 102.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Like, damn. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to play against lefties. Like, how do the Pirates play him against lefties?
They can't.
I mean, I just don't know how you do it. I mean, I know they're not really trying to win anything, apparently, but, you know.
I think they are. I actually think they are trying to win right now, to tell you the truth.
I don't know. I mean, I get it. They signed a couple of
Not if Skeens is on the mound. They'd rather just pull his ass.
Azuna, Lau, O'Hearn. It's a better lineup than I think.
True.
It's not going to be great, but it is a much better lineup than it was.
Yeah, true. I will say
that wasn't hard to do, though.
True. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But it is better. Like,
but yeah, I mean, like defensive WAR was 0.9. I mean, I guess it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't great. His total offensive rating was -3.5. Like, it's just, I don't know. Just, I cannot do it with this guy. You are punting batting average if you roster him just for, 20 home runs and 30 steals. Like, that's not worth it to me. And the Pirates offense might be a little bit better this year. The counting stats, the runs and the RBI still are not going to be there for a guy that you're having a draft still pretty high, like within the top 100 picks. No, thank you.
Yeah, I won't have Cruz either.
He could fall multiple rounds.
Probably. I probably won't have Cruz either.
I am out. I'm out.
You were right, though.
Last year and hated it.
There were only 3 batters with an exit velocity on any one single pitch last season over 120 miles per hour. Shohei Ohtani at top at 120. Vladimir Guerrero at 120.4 and Oneil Cruz 122.9. So, like, man, when he hits it, it's fun to watch.
Oh, it's real fun.
But there's a lot of not enough hitting it.
He is literally in the top 1% of baseball every single year for his max exit velocity.
He leads an average EV50. I like more than his true average, but it doesn't really matter. But he leads in all those categories because when he does hit the ball, it flies. He just doesn't hit the ball nearly enough. So,
yeah,
I will give my bust here as the final person to go, and it is Jarren Duran. And you may remember, just like Springer, I was big in Duran last year. I actually don't think he played poorly. I think he played. I mean, it was a little bit worse than 2024, but 86 runs, 16 homers, 84 ribbies, 24 steals, 256. If you took that with your, was it like a second or third round pick? It wasn't like Jarren Duran killed you. He played fine.
Yeah.
The problem is that he is still a member of the Boston Red Sox. What was that?
No, he did because I took him and that sucked.
Oh, really? I don't think he was bad. I mean,
it was
here's
nowhere near what you were hoping for.
I think the biggest issue is he's still a member of the Red Sox and he's not going to play every day. Because just like what Joe said with Oneil Cruz being his struggles against lefties, Jarren Duran shouldn't be playing against left-handed pitchers. 13 of his homers came against righties. He hit 277 against left-handed pitching in 194 at-bats. So that's a pretty decent sample size. 21 runs, 3 homers, 25 ribbies, and he hit 211 with a 600 OPS. And now the Red Sox, because of some of the other moves that they have made, he no longer has to be an everyday player. They've already sort of said that they're considering sitting him down against lefties. So I guess right now he's roster resource has him at DH, and they don't have him in a platoon. I don't know. It might be better for him. I was hoping he was going to get traded to Houston for Paredes, but they went and got Caleb Durbin instead from the Brewers. But so I guess that's out. And I guess Duran is going to settle in there, but I have real concerns on Jarren Duran's playing time. And while I think he can be good in his at-bats against righties and still probably give you like 15 homers and 20 steals again, the dude has an ADP of 61. That's a 5th-round pick. No. That should be around, pick 100, somewhere in that range at this point. If with the concerns I have, if I was getting him around that range, I'd be fine with it. I'd take him ahead of Oneil Cruz still, but no, I'm not spending a 5th-round pick on a guy that I have legitimate playing time concerns who can't hit lefties. So as much as I like Jarren Duran, I'm out at that cost.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with him. I think he's a good player. I think he's probably a better baseball player than he is a fantasy player for for what it's worth.
He definitely fits that.
So, all right, we're going to finish things off here with the pitchers, and we're just going to each give one starting pitcher. We're not even going to try to do the bust for relievers, even though, shockingly, I was number 1 in relief pitcher accuracy last year. And I was like, really? Because I thought I did horrible. Oh, wait, everybody does horrible. So, yeah, cool.
You just didn't do as horribly.
I mean, I was the best of all. Yeah, fine. We all sucked, but I wasn't as sucky as everybody else. All right, starting pitchers.
Are you trying to go from suck to blow this year, like Mega made?
Say very, very sucky, like Elf. You need to check that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on. All right. Starting pitchers. Corey, go ahead.
Before I give you my guy's name, just let me lead you some stat lines here. 2024, 9 innings, 7 ERA, 166 whip, 5 FIP. Poor. 2025, 125 innings, 7 wins, 14 losses, 445 ERA, 453 FIP, saying that he pretty much deserved that with a 140 whip. Okay. Those are not good. I think pretty much we can all agree those are poor seasons. Now, I can't go back much further because before that, he was awesome, but I don't get why we don't get a discount at all on Spencer Strider. Like, what has he shown in the last 2 years that makes Spencer Strider a pick right around 100? 102 is what our ADP has him at Fantasy 6-pack. And I know that he was awesome. Spencer Strider, circa 2023, 2022, was the best pitcher in baseball. Absolutely, he was. But that is an arm injury ago. And he's not been effective at all the last 2 seasons. He showed nothing last year that makes me think that he should be going at this point. We have not heard that his arm is suddenly better or that he is going to add this additional pitch. He is still a 2-pitch pitcher, and his 4-seamer, which was the thing that made him so good in 2023, was the fact that he could throw this 4-seamer and this slider. 28% whiff rate on a 4-seamer in 2023, 55 on the slider. Last season, 15% whiff rate on the 4-seamer and 48 on the slider. He still has those pitches. They're not as effective. There's no reason to think his arm is suddenly better. If I was getting Spencer Strider at 150 and it was, okay, well, maybe he's going to be back to healthy. Okay, I'll take a shot at that. There's nothing here that says that Spencer Strider wasn't just bad last season. He looked bad. The expected ERA is nearly 5. The average exit velocity was terrible. He got hit hard, except he was Spencer Strider, and we've seen it before. So if I was getting a bigger discount, sure, I'd still take Spencer Strider. But at his cost, absolutely not.
I mean, you know my feeling on him. He's a Brave, so
Yeah, it's all the Braves.
bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. Is anybody are you guys in at all? Is anybody taking Spencer Strider at pick 100?
Nope.
Probably not.
I can't do it. I mean, and not just because of my hatred of the Braves, just because of what he hasn't done the past 2 seasons. I mean, he's been completely a shell of what he had done before that. And, obviously missing time will do that for you, but I can't put that draft stock into someone who might play 4-5 games.
You know what's going to happen though? His draft stock will go up. You watch. He's going to dominate the spring. And people are going to go, oh, he's back. Dude, he dominated the minors last year when he was in rehab. He came back and got absolutely destroyed. He came back, got destroyed, got hurt and then had like a 2 or 3 game stretch where he was like, okay, maybe. And then he got hurt again, came back, and was just he was terrible. And so I'm kind of out, man. I just can't. The potential is there. I'm just not really willing to take it. There's other guys going after him,
with injury concerns, right? But who are actually good. That's the thing. Like the people directly after him, Yuri Perez was injured, but when he came back, he looked pretty good. There's actually some signs there. Brandon Woodruff is going 20 picks after him, who got hurt and came back and looked really good. Why is he going ahead of them? That's the reason that I will not have Spencer Strider. Because if I'm going to take a guy who's coming off injury, I want a guy who's coming off injury that has some signs of positive, and there's nothing at Spencer Strider to take him at pick 100. So I'm out on that one completely.
Yeah, it's people chasing the strikeouts there, and I get it. Like he's an elite strikeout guy. Like when he can get right. But I mean, I know Gosman's not that strikeout guy anymore, but I'd rather have Gosman in a heartbeat.
Say Chase Burns. There's a bunch of those guys in that range. But
yeah,
that's mine.
Chase Burns is a strikeout guy. He terrifies me with the blow up potential. But all right, AJ.
Okay, I am going with Hunter Brown for my pitcher bust this year, this season, whatever, the show. He's coming in at the 7th, 8th pitcher off the board. We were looking at a late 2nd, early 3rd for him potentially. And I think a lot of this is the recency bias. He's been a good pitcher throughout his career overall. So I'm not going to knock him for that. He's dead on in my consistency rating with his wins. 11 wins in 23, 11 wins in 24, 12 wins last year. Cut the losses from 13 and 23 to 9 the last 2 years. 31 games 31 games played all 3 years. The big thing for me is his BABIP dropped significantly last year from 307 in 24 down to 262. His left on base percentage went up to 82% from 76, 77. His ERA dropped a full point plus when his expected ERA dropped 0.2 points, basically, from 331 to 315. He had a 349, dropped to 243 last year. I think it's another case of this unsustainable stats that he had. I mean, there's consistency there, but the counting stats that I'm looking at were just completely different. And I just don't think that that's where he's going to be, especially for where you're going to have to buy him this year. I was trying to find what else did I have on him. His hard hit rate was what I was thinking of. Yeah, so that's not terrible then. I don't know. He's been pretty consistent there as well. I feel like it's went back up from 24, but I mean, he was up in the 40s, in 23. So, I think he gets the benefit of playing in a lesser division. You're really looking at the Astros and the Mariners are, the two best teams in that division. I mean, Rangers, you never really know. They're going to come, they're going to go. Angels and Athletics, chalk them up as wins. It's just not. It's not. It's a weak division. So if you want to track based on that, have at it. But you're going to be paying a high price to get him at that point.
I want to hear Joe's take, because before I say anything, I feel like Joe was like the conductor of the Hunter Brown hype train last season.
I mean, I was, and I was right. So there you go.
I don't disagree. You were.
You talking about if we want to give points for who picked sleepers right last year, this is one of mine.
Here's my back. Let me pat it for myself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. He's probably going around right where he should be. It's not. I don't think it's like a bust. I think if he were going in the top 5 or 6 pitchers, I'd be like, whoa, hang on. But top 10, 12, that's doable for him. He's a consistent pitcher. He's gonna eat a lot of innings, which is a very valuable thing. Strikeouts are good. There's not a lot of concern for me there. I don't see a lot of blow up potential. He did have a couple of games last year where it was just oh my God, what the hell are you doing? I mean, come on. Almost every pitcher does, man. It's
who doesn't have those games?
Holy perfect season like that. It can't all be Scooble. So I think I'm fine with him. Will I get him in a lot of leagues? Probably not, because I'm probably only going to have one of those top 10 guys at best. Yeah. And that's, just chances are he's not going to be it. So,
yeah, I mean, for the record, I don't dislike Hunter Brown. I just feel like the stats that he put up last year are above expectation, and there's definitely going to be some regression there. He's still going to be a solid pitcher. I'm not going to take that away from him, but I just don't think I'm paying up to get him compared to some of the guys that are around him. Obviously, I'd rather get Christopher Sanchez, a few picks earlier. Or I'd wait a couple picks later, and Brian Woo's right there. I mean, he's not too bad either. So
yeah, Brian.
So they're kind of the same range. Although Sanchez did, I think, get second in the Cy Young voting last year. So first place loser, but still up there.
Joe knows about that. He's finished second many times.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about that.
Thanks, man.
Get one of them old-timey movies.
Whose turn is it? Mine?
Yep.
I'm going to finish off here talking about old-timey. Jacob deGrom. I kind of gone back and forth with who I was going to pick here. Landed on Jacob deGrom. Look, 37 will be 38 during the season. Look, talk about a guy who has been injured for a long time, right? Finally came back last year and was healthy for the whole season and was phenomenal, right? 2.97 ERA, 185 strikeouts, 172 innings pitched. The whip of 0.92, all really, really good stuff. There's some red flags, right? I mean, he's getting older. We know that. The injury risk is already there. We already all know that, right? The one huge red flag for me, right, is I was looking at it. K to walk ratio was 5. It has been much, much, much higher than that in previous seasons. He had a walk rate of 1.93, not terrible, but walking some guys. His FIP was 3.64, xFIP 3.37, still not bad, right? But I think you're paying up a little bit for the name. Down the stretch last season, they did start pulling him and managing innings a little bit. So that's another thing you got to worry about with him, right? Like maybe the Rangers don't already, trust that he can go, a full, are we going to see 200 innings out of deGrom again? Seems doubtful. So
that's Noah Syndergaard.
It's just, I don't know, man. There's just, I just don't think I'm gonna be relying on Jacob deGrom for my team. Pretty much for the rest of his career. I'm just out on it.
I mean, he was one I was looking at too. I figured you were going there, so I didn't. But I mean, he's a perfect example of name value as well, especially with the recency bias of last year, where he finally put it back all together and had a phenomenal year. But when was the last time we saw that? I mean, not
2019.
Not since pre-COVID, the pre-COVID times. I
mean, he allowed like home runs per 9 up to 1.36. Again, K per 9 down below double digits for the first time in his career. Batting
Brown was my bust last year, so I'm just going to bite my tongue on this one.
I mean, I would have been. I was probably right there with you on him last year. He is a really, really good pitcher. But we see it from like. I think of him like almost like a Kershaw, right? He's gonna be good when he's on the mound, but how much is he gonna be on the mound, right? And he's no longer gonna give you those like 12, 13 K per 9 rates anymore. So you're paying for almost that kind of price tag with him where he's going right now. And I think that's a huge mistake. So that is why he's a bust. It's not because I think he's going to be bad. It's because I think you're paying for way more than you should.
I mean, you think he's going to be bad. It's okay.
Joe hates Jacob deGrom.
Pretty much.
The worst.
Every year he's the old man shaking his fist at a cloud. That cloud is Jacob deGrom.
Can't all hate like you hate the Braves, AJ.
Good.
We had a Brewer on this list.
This
we didn't have any Phillies on this list. No Orioles on the list.
I almost put Kyle Bradish
I did
on
mention Westberg. Well, I mentioned I would rather go after Westberg. So yeah, no.
So I will say my catcher bust would have been Basayo.
Ooh. Interesting.
Yeah.
You're talking about not having like a full season playing time. He won't.
Yeah, I agree.
So he's going way too early. The hype train has gotten out of control for him. So I'm out on him. So, yeah, I think that's it for the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Got some information. Learned who our busts were for the year. Go over to fantasy6pack.net. Mentioned the plans there. F6P Pod, 15% to get access to the rankings there. And hey, signups are still open for the Fantasy Six Pack series. It is a series we run over on Fantrax and Roto League. Little different settings. So we do quality appearances instead of wins. We do saves and holds. We do on base percentage. Little different stuff than your typical wins and just saves leagues. It's a little fun. Got a bunch of people signed up. I sent out a tweet today. A bunch of guys from Fantasy Pros, Roto Baller, Radsball, Pitcher List, all the Fantasy Six Pack guys. A lot of listeners and fans as well. And so we're closing in on about 90 signups right now. So we really want to break that 100 mark. Like we have every other year. So we got probably about 2 weeks left before we close signups. So make sure you get in there. The link is over on my Twitter. The article where the sign-up sheet is also just on the website. So go ahead and check that out as well. That is it for me. Guys, got anything else to add?
No.
Come back next week for sleepers.
Yep, absolutely. See y'all next time.